We are live, I think. If I've got audio, we're good to go. Let me look here and see if I've got audio here. Microphone array and tell headset, microphone, headset. There we go. I believe now I should have audio. See if we got a signal. You got me on? You trying to find me? Stand by, folks. We'll see what's going on here. See if we got some audio. Looks like a blue light down there. That is a microphone in use by Google Chrome. Hoo-hoo. Yeah. Okay, let's just hit that and see how messed up it is. Command center on. Yeah, let's turn that off. Okay. How am I doing there on audio, Mary?
Sound good. I'm trying to get you back up where I can't see your video
I
now.
did. You did hear me? Oh, mercy.
Thanks. Hang
Am I
on.
too loud?
I just lost it. Yes, you're fine.
Okay, well, here we are, folks. Grandpa had to put his specs on. Um, Tonight, I want to say first of all that I am just really confused as to why, with all of the things happening in our world today and the United States, especially because I'm here temporarily, don't plan on being here forever, as to why people are not moving forward with plans to go up against this panopticon that has been created, this surveillance state, this corruption that is at all levels of government, public and private, House, Senate, judiciary, law enforcement, FBI, CIA, DEA, um, all of these other intelligence agencies. Our education system is crumbling. Our corporate structure is growing into this mass beast, if you will, like BlackRock and Vanguard and on and on. Um, I just don't get why, me included, cannot do more to push back on these things that are swallowing us whole right now. When I say things, I'm talking about the broken mental health system, corrupt mental health system. Um, our food supply has been tainted to no end, to the nth degree. I was just talking to Marion before the show about all of the um, all of the crazy, 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 crazy things that are going on with our food supply. It's really hard to fathom. I mean, when you think about it really hard, and not just think about it, but when you get out there and look at this panopticon, you look at this insanity that's going on around the world in all sectors of transportation, distribution, storage, all of the infrastructure surrounding that, administrative, legal, philosophical, psychological. Uh, when you look at the corruption that has seeped into every crevice of society, global society, it makes one, well, it makes me go into existential crisis of sorts and even existential dread with an overload of questions that seems never to be answered. Every single answer that I think I've come up with has following it another 100 questions, and it just goes on and on and on. But tonight I wanted to hit on the mass surveillance, do a deep dive into the mass surveillance. Um, I've done a lot of research for pre air verification for all of my sources I have tonight. There's a camera in the smoke detector above your bed right now, folks. I wanted to lead off with that breaking news. I want, I wanted to, we're going to get into some crazy, crazy, crazy stuff tonight, folks. Um, we're going to get into some things that just don't seem possible, shouldn't be possible. There's a camera in the smoke detector above your bed right now. Maybe, maybe not above your bed, but definitely in the girls' bathroom at school and the boys' bathroom at school and the gymnasium locker room where all the little girls and boys change clothes. This has been proven over and over and over and over again. Crazy, crazy stuff going on, ladies and gentlemen. There is a database in Virginia that knows what time you left your house this morning, what car you were driving, and which direction you turned out of your driveway, and who you were riding with, your children, maybe carpool, and what type of car, of course, you were driving. And are there any bumper stickers on it? Are there any dents in it? Are there any scratches on it? Are there any broken windows or cracked windows? The database sucks up all of that information in real time and stores it in the cloud for law enforcement and others, including your insurance company, the medical system, governments, uh, and of course, data brokers who want to go out there and buy all of your information from all of this data that's coming in, including your biosensory data, which means, your organs run at a certain frequency in your body. Your skin runs at a certain frequency in your body. Your circulatory system is constantly putting out a frequency. Your brain is putting out a frequency. And we'll get to that a little bit later. There's a company, one you have never heard of, headquartered somewhere you've never been, that has already sold your location history to an insurance company, a divorce attorney, a political campaign, the federal government. Almost certainly. Almost certainly, depending on who you are and where you are in time and space. Um, we're not talking about a dystopian future, folks. We're talking about Tuesday. We're talking about today, this very moment in time. Okay. Tonight, I want to go inside the machinery of modern surveillance, the cameras hidden in bedrooms. Yes, your bedroom if you have a smart TV and other electronic devices in the home. We'll talk about that. The license plates read 20 billion times a month by Flock Nova and other comparable technologies and parallel technologies. The data brokers who sell your movements to whoever has a purchase order, highest bidder, and the spyware, of course, that turns the phone in your pocket into a live microphone for a foreign government. This is not paranoia, folks. I'm not trying to bring doom and gloom. This is a paper trail. We don't flinch here at Strike Force News headquarters. I'll tell you, it just gets crazier and crazier and crazier. Um, there are at minimum 750 registered data brokers operating in the United States. And I would say that number is probably double or triple that, maybe even quadruple that, according to a 2025 cross reference by the Privacy Knights Clearinghouse. And that's just the ones who bothered to register, folks. There's no federal requirement to register, disclose, or exercise due care with the personal data these companies hold. Flag for verification. The industry is estimated at somewhere between 200 billion and 365 billion, depending on whose market research you trust. Bigger than the NFL, the recorded music industry, and Hollywood box office combined. So, a single large broker can hold more than 1,000 individual data points on one person. That's 1,000 individual data points on one person. It's a lot of data: name, address, income estimate, political affiliation, health conditions, purchase history, behavioral patterns. Axiom alone maintains a consumer list of more than 260 million individuals and 190 million households, ladies and gentlemen. I want you to chew on this stuff for a while. Think about it really hard, what's going on here. The um, the math on what you're worth. Brokers acquired data record for a fraction of a cent and resell it for 50 cents to $200, depending on how sensitive it is. These are Brookings sourced estimates. If you want to go to Brookings and take a look at this, here is the part that should make you really sit up and take notice. On March 18th, 2026, FBI Director Kash Patel sat in front of the Senate and was asked directly by Senator Ron Wyden, would the FBI commit to not buying Americans' location data from commercial brokers? Patel did not say no. He said the Bureau purchases Site Index 14.1 commercially available information consistent with the Constitution and the laws under the Electronic Communications Privacy Act, and that it has produced valuable intelligence. Folks, I don't trust any of these people with my years of research and investigation into these entities, corporations, and agencies and law enforcement. Don't trust any of them. Grew up with law enforcement, super cops. I know this system inside out more than most people would imagine. Translate that out of bureaucrat. The FBI doesn't need a warrant. It doesn't need a judge. It doesn't need a FISA order. It needs a purchase order. The Fourth Amendment was built to stop the government from searching you without cause. It says nothing about the government simply buying the search results from a company that harvested them from a weather app or a smartwatch or an infotainment center in your car or your electronic cat box for that matter, or doggy door. They all have chips in them, the new ones. This is not hypothetical abuse. It's documented fact. The FTC's complaint against Data Broker in market found the company had collected users' location data from mobile apps downloaded to over 390 million devices. From mobile apps downloaded to over 390 million devices, sorted people into marketing categories like Christian, church goers, wealthy, not wealthy, parents, preschoolers, etc., etc. Data brokers sell to advertisers, but also predatory loan companies, stalkers, scammers, con artists, grifters, and foreign actors exploiting every legal loophole possible that let government agencies bypass Fourth Amendment protections entirely, folks. You know, the Fourth Amendment was here designed, built to protect us, keep us private in our homes, our personal papers and records. Your home is your castle. If you look at the castle doctrine, you might want to look at the castle doctrine, see what that has to say. I need to rub my eye here. I've got watery eyes, folks. I don't know what's going on with this watery eyes. It's probably pollen in the air, along with a whole lot of other particulates that can't even spell, let alone name, coming out of those chemtrails from the bioengineering and geoengineering and weather modification technologies. Um, the road is a checkpoint now, ladies and gentlemen. Automated license plate readers. You don't need to be a suspect to be targeted, to be tracked, to be traced. You just need to own a car. That's all you need to do to be a terrorist these days. Automated license plate reader networks, the majority built by a single company, Flock Safety. If you want to go to dflock.org, I think that's dflock.org, you can see how many cameras are out there. Play with that word flock, Flock, and see what you can find out about where all these cameras are. Um, Flock Safety now log an estimated 20 billion license plate scans per month, folks. 20 billion across more than 100,000 cameras nationwide. And I would put that up more like 175,000, maybe even 300,000, 400,000 cameras because of the orchestration capabilities, the compatibility they're bringing to technology to connect all of these different types of optics together and bring that all into the cloud, into a specific place that can be sifted and stored and recorded. So I'd put that number way, way up high. These aren't traffic cameras, ladies and gentlemen. Each scan captures the vehicle's color, make, model, and distinguishing marks down to bumper stickers and gun racks. AI into a searchable map of everywhere that car has been. And I do mean everywhere your car has been and your children have been. Flock has contracts with more than 5,000 law enforcement agencies nationwide. Customs and Border Protection alone has been granted access to over 80,000 flock cameras, with plate databases shared directly with federal immigration agencies. Now, this has been, they tried to debunk this and say that it wasn't happening, but they tried to debunk everything that is happening. And so I'm tired of hearing, oh, that's not going to happen, or that hasn't happened, or that law hasn't went into effect yet. That's just complete BS. In Washington State, public records request revealed that at least 8 law enforcement agencies enabled direct one-to-one data sharing with U.S. Border Patrol during 2025, effectively opening a side door into surveillance networks that residents believed were local. Researcher findings confirm. We confirmed before air this is true. There is no warrant requirement to search these databases. An analysis of millions of police searches found agencies using ALPR data to compare captured plates against hot lists that included a category built for immigration and customs enforcement, verified before air tonight. Meaning a camera sold to catch stolen cars is being used to hunt for undocumented immigrants, ladies and gentlemen. And by the way, it's not just undocumented immigrants. If you're against Flock, if you're against Palantir, if you're against these companies that build this technology, they're considering you a terrorist, and that has come out openly on many, many interviews with the CEO at Flock. And the cameras themselves aren't even secure. In December 2025, a researcher found at least 70 Flock safety cameras exposed during directly to the open internet, accessible through a commercial search engine. No hacking required, just a browser. Now, think about that. People in the general population are able to get into your business and look at the data that's been collected by these many different types of cameras and optic technology. That is scary as hell. This is the architecture of a nationwide dragnet. We call it Skynet. You call it Skynet, Dragnet, built by a private company, sold to local police, one contract at a time, with no warrant, no judge, no jury, no vote, until communities started fighting back. No public debate at all. Some cities are pulling their contracts. Most never had the conversation to begin with. And folks, anytime they decide to pull the contracts, they'll just come up with something else, to make it even more disturbing and more highly advanced. Gut punch. Here's the gut punch. The camera doesn't care if you're a suspect, it only cares that you have a license plate and a car. That makes every driver in America a permanent subject of investigation. Person of interest. You're a person of interest. You're a subject of investigation, searchable retroactively without ever having done anything wrong at all. Your car is sitting, it's already talking. The car you're sitting in is already talking. Folks, all of your electronic devices are communicating with entities that I'm sure would give us a heart attack if we fully understood and could fully grasp what's going on here with this technology. I seriously believe it would knock all of us out of the window. It would just literally bowl us over if we knew how surveilled we really are on a daily basis, 24 hours, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. This isn't theoretical, folks. The average new car sold in 2026, and we'll go back actually to around 2013, 14. That's debatable, but we'll talk about it. Not on just this show, but others too. They ship with microphones in the car, cameras in the car, GPS modules, and a permanent internet connection, generating a constant stream of data. Where you drive, how hard you brake, how hard you drive, what you say to the voice assistant who you call, even how much you weigh in the seat, and other technologies and new laws that are being written now will take your blood alcohol level through the steering wheel, your pupillary response, your verdant body language, little intricacies in your facial profile, facial movements, neck movements, and so forth, forehead movements. color of your skin, skin turgor, possibly, rigidity, um, and a myriad of other things. They've even talked about having technology that can tell if a woman is menstruating or not. And this is crazy stuff, but this was talked about on the keyboard. They were able to do this years and years ago. The Texas Attorney General sued Allstate and its data subsidiary, Arity, alleging the company had collected trillions of miles of location data from more than 45 million Americans through embedded tracking software in third party phone apps, meaning you didn't even need to be in a covered car. Your phone alone was the sensor. Now, I want to say something about that before we go on. You think about your phone, people have been saying this for a long time, those futurists out there who really know what's going on. Like I'm one of those people researching, reading, thinking, comprehending, analyzing, highly analytical, critical analysis. We've known for a long time, and Edward Snowden came out with this publicly and wrote a book about it, or actually several books about it. He's done several interviews. He was with the National Security Agency, and he had a top secret clearance, maybe even a beyond top secret clearance. Worked for the National Security Agency and wrote the program called PRISM, with an M, PRISM, that basically casted the net for all Americans and possibly all of the world, and brought all of this data in and collected all of this data and is able to see it in real time, not metadata, but actual data, not raw data that has to be sifted through and reorganized, but real time data. And this changed the game of surveillance, made it 100,000 times worse than it already was. Um, Third party phone apps, meaning you didn't even need to buy a car, need a covered car, I'm sorry. Ford estimates connected car data could be worth up to $100 per vehicle per year in resale value. I say it's much, 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 much more than that. I would be afraid to even put a number on it. My number would be so high, it would be unbelievable. $100 per vehicle per year in resale value. McKinsey projects the broader connected car data market could hit 750 billion by 2030. I'm going to say 250 billion by 2030, if not already there. They always give us the crumbs off the table when it comes to information technology. Only about 31% of drivers who enroll in these usage tracking programs actually save money. 24% end up paying more. Some face coverage denial for 3 to 5 years based on data they never saw collected. You know, folks, regulators are only now catching up. Australia's Privacy Commission launched a 2026 investigation into whether always on microphones and cabin facing cameras turn the vehicle into a mobile surveillance unit that bypasses the traditional protections of the home Fourth Amendment. The distinction between driver safety monitoring and unlawful surveillance, regulators admit, is razor thin. The gut punch is you financed a $30,000 surveillance device and then let an insurance company use it to decide what you're worth. Ladies and gentlemen, are you listening? Are you listening? Are you listening? This is just, this is, well, what word can I use? Unbelievable. This is unbelievable. Um, you know, this is not necessarily about policy now. This is about the physical camera hidden in the physical wall in the room where you were supposed to be safe and private. This is not rare at all, ladies and gentlemen. Scottsdale, Arizona, March 2025. An Arkansas family found a camera disguised as a smoke detector mounted directly over the bed in their Airbnb rental. It had Wi Fi capability and night vision, could see in total darkness, take pictures and video of you in the bed with your spouse or girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever, and a memory card with um, footage dating back to 2020, meaning an unknown number of previous guests had been recorded without their knowledge for years before anyone found out. Now, ladies and gentlemen, think about how many of you are naked on the dark web right now in your underwear running around these motel rooms and Airbnbs. The guest later said he could see it had been streaming live to someone's phone. Police confirmed the property was never even registered as a legal short term rental, and despite multiple attempts, they were never able to reach the homeowner. This is not an isolated case. Attorneys tracking these lawsuits list active or resolved claims in Alaska, Arizona, California, Florida, New Jersey, North Carolina, Tennessee, Wisconsin, Texas, Arkansas, Missouri. Um, a superhost pleaded guilty to secretly filming guests at the Airbnbs. And by the way, motels are also doing this and hotels. Investigators recovered thousands of images of guests, including children. In Florida, a family renting a property discovered outdoor 360-degree cameras positioned to look directly into their bedroom windows, including the master bedroom, technically disclosed in the listing, but never disclosed at that angle. Now we talk about Huntington Beach, California, 2026. A California State Parks superintendent, a sworn law enforcement official, is facing 31 criminal charges after allegedly hiding a camera in the men's employee locker room at the state beach for nearly a year. The device recorded video and audio from August 2024 through July 2025, capturing different men who never consented to be filmed. Boston 2018, still unresolved as of 2025. A hidden camera was found inside a ceiling air vent in the women's locker room at John Hancock, one of the largest financial services companies in the country, wired through a coaxial cable to a monitor in a fan room, a floor above, a maintenance room, a floor above. 6 years later, no one has been held accountable for that. Wisconsin, a gym member used a camera hidden inside a coffee cup to record victims in locker rooms across multiple locations, both male, female, and children. One officer reviewing the footage said Naperville, Illinois, 2025 cameras were found hidden in the bathrooms of a boxing gym planted by a fellow member. He was charged with 11 felony counts, one for each individual victim. The pattern across every one of these cases is the same: an object that already belongs in the room, a smoke detector, a coffee cup, an air vent, a ballpoint pen, a permanent marker, an outdoor security camera, a cap like the one I'm wearing retrofitted into a surveillance device in the exact spaces where the human body is most exposed and expectation of privacy is supposed to be absolute. And of course, now it is not. We're going to talk about what you all can do here in a short about this surveillance and see how you can find out who is surveilling you and to what extent. We built entire industries and short term rentals, gym memberships, corporate wellness perks on the promise of convenience. Nobody asked what convenience would cost the moment you took your clothes off, ladies and gentlemen. The classroom, teaching children they have no right to privacy whatsoever. If surveillance is normalized anywhere, first, it's normalized in schools on children who have no say in the contract whatsoever. Student monitoring software dominated by companies like Go, Guardian, Gaggle, Bark, and Securely is now deployed on school issued devices used by an estimated nearly half of all K 12 students in the United States, Incorporated, according to reporting cited by Knight First Amendment Institute. New York Times sourced this, did an article on this. You can look it up. Go Guardian alone is used to surveil an estimated 27 million students across roughly 11,500 schools, according to the company's own figures. The software doesn't just filter content; it gives administrators nearly unfettered access to browsing histories on their phones, documents, videos, app and extension data, all private messages of the kids, search terms, keystrokes scanned in real time. EFF's own investigation, the Red Flag Machine project, you can look that up, found the software misflags massive amounts of harmless material as dangerous and does so in a way that disproportionately hits already vulnerable kids. And I would say that a lot of this is racial profiling. Let me take a little drink of my Dr. Pepper here. You know, Google in particular has been documented flagging LGBTQ related content and language at elevated rates. And the Center for Democracy and Technology found Black, Hispanic, low income, and rural students face greater risk of harm from surveillance because they rely more heavily on school issued devices than personal ones that can be, some of these can be turned off on personal devices. Some of this surveillance can be kind of toned down some, but not much, meaning the surveillance burden isn't even evenly distributed. It falls hardest on kids who already have the least power to opt out of the surveillance system. Some districts are spending real money to do this. Also, Muskogee County School District, Georgia, paid over $137,000 just to install Go Guardian. Montgomery County, Maryland spent $230,000 a year before switching vendors, and EFF's policy expert, Claude Marlowe, notes there is no way to prove these technologies actually make schools safer. But what we can say, we're training an entire generation before they've had a driver's license or a credit card that being watched, naked or clothed, child or adult, is the default condition of being a person. This is not a side effect. This is a lesson to be learned. Your own homes are not air gapped, folks. They're not safe. The smart home you bought for convenience is a second front door, and it doesn't always lock the way you think it does. Between 2019 and 2020, weak security practices at Ring allowed hackers to compromise over 55,000 customer accounts. using stolen credentials from unrelated data breaches, data brokers, dark web to access live camera feeds inside people's homes. I want you to think about this really hard, folks. In one widely reported Mississippi case, a hacker spoke to an 8-year old girl through her bedroom camera and was watching her forever. The FTC found Ring's own employees and contractors had improperly accessed customer video footage, again, watching both children and adults in their most private moments, in some cases, using it to train internal algorithms without user content, leading to a $5.6 million settlement. Two men hijacked more than a dozen Ring doorbells to make swatting calls, false emergency reports designed to send armed police to a target's home, then live streamed the police response for entertainment, in one case posing as a child reporting on her own parents. Folks, this is low down stuff. We're getting low here. Law enforcement doesn't need to hack in. Companies increasingly hand the door open voluntarily. Amazon partnered with police technology firm AXON in 2025 to let law enforcement request ring footage directly from users in any neighborhood, bypassing the warrant process entirely. Critics note this raises a direct Fourth Amendment concern. Police soliciting footage this way sidesteps the formal search process a warrant would be otherwise required. And this is sick here. This gets even sicker. Baby monitors are being hacked. Smart locks are being hacked. Smart thermostats, smart doorbells. Every one of them is a networked microphone or camera sitting on your Wi Fi at home. And every one of them is a potential entry point once a password is reused or firmware update is skipped. The gut punch here: you bought a device to watch your own front door. In practice, you installed a corporate and, in some cases, law enforcement accessible camera inside the one space the Constitution was written to protect above all others: your home. Ladies and gentlemen, I want you all to really try and digest, as I am tonight, what we're saying here. The reason I'm reading this, I did a lot of research on this, took a lot of different parts and pieces from here and there that had been vetted, that had been sourced to me as being fact. And we went over these about, I don't know, 25 times. And we really looked out there to see what these people are saying in order to make sure you're getting the right information and who's saying it. Everything that we've talked about above inside U.S. borders under U.S. law, however weak, Pegasus spyware built by Israeli firm NSO Group erases that boundary completely. Pegasus can infect a phone with zero clicks, no link, no download, no mistake by the target required. Once installed, it can covertly monitor the device and harvest its data without any action by the owner, including activating the camera and microphone remotely at any time, whether the phone is on or off. As recently as July 2026, Citizen Lab confirmed that Stelos Kolagu, a former member of the European Parliament, was infected with Pegasus three separate times in 2022, 2023, while he was actively serving on the EU committee investigating Pegasus abuse itself. While he was being surveilled while surveilling the surveillors. He plans to sue. We'll have to wait and see how that comes out. Reporting ties his infection to the same attacker infrastructure used against exiled activists and journalists from Russia, Latvia, and Belarus, meaning a single operator toolkit was reused across a continent's worth of targets. My gosh, ladies and gentlemen, this is insane. This is literally insane. NSO Group's spyware has been documented targeting journalists, lawyers, activists, teachers, in a minimum of 45 countries, including, according to the cybersecurity researchers tracking its deployment, with politically motivated abuse cases from Mexico to Thailand to Poland to Saudi Arabia. The United States formally blacklisted NSO Group in 2021 for acting against U.S. foreign policy and national security interests. It didn't stop the sales of the technology. It didn't stop the targeting. It just meant the U.S. government could no longer pretend not to know. And the gut punch here is there is no firewall thick enough and no border wide enough to stop a piece of software that costs a government a licensing fee and requires the target to do absolutely nothing wrong before they come out and arrest you. I want to close tonight. Um, look at everything, folks, we've just walked through. It's shocking, it's terrifying, it's confusing, it's insane. S- You know, stop treating all of these as separate stories. It's all one story told many times about different ways of surveilling in spaces and places. Okay. A data broker doesn't need a warrant because the FBI would rather buy the data than ask a judge for permission. And law enforcement of all shapes and sizes is no different. A license plate camera doesn't need your permission, doesn't need probable cause because it scans everyone all the time and lets police search backward once they've decided who they're looking for. A car doesn't need your consent because the agreement was buried in a 40-page owner's manual you never read. Just like the social media contracts most of you don't read, or any other contracts for that matter. A smoke detector doesn't need your knowledge because nobody expects the smoke detector to be a threat, but it is a major, major, major threat. A school doesn't need your child's permission because your child isn't a customer. The software company is. A ring camera doesn't need a hacker because sometimes the company hands the footage over willingly, and a foreign government doesn't need you to click anything at all. Every one of these systems was sold to you as safety and protection or health. Protection from crime, they say, protection from liability, protection from your own child's worst impulses, protection from a package thief. And in every single case, the protection came wrapped around a permanent, searchable, scalable, sellable record of your entire life, both public and private. One you didn't write, can't fully see, and cannot ever opt out of. Privacy in 2026 isn't dying of one data metric blow. It's being sold off in pieces, each one small enough to seem reasonable on its own. We do not flinch here, folks, at Strikeforce News HQ. We have full sourcing link in the first comment. I've got more sources. If y'all are interested, you can email me at dkyler2010 at gmail.com. You can also check our sources: data broker industry revenue figures. Sources disagree, recommended using the more conservative Brennan Center figure. 750 registered data brokers count from Privacy Rights Clearinghouse 2025. Axiom 260M, individual profile claim, FBI data broker assess. What is this? Uh, Assassination case detail. Confirm. There it is. We confirm. Sensitive. Verify against primary. 20 billion ALFR or ALPR scans a month. That's 20 billion license plate reads a month. 100,000 cameras. I said 250,000 cameras. I think I said that. If I didn't, that's what I'm saying now. 80,000 CBF accessible cameras, tech spot sourced, cross checked against Flock's own disclosures on EFF data. Washington State um, Agency Border Patrol sharing claim UWCHR. You can plug into your search bar. Driver insurance program 31 to 24% savings. Loss split. Yeah, they're telling you you're going to save insurance if they can surveil you running around in your swimsuit at home. Whatever you're doing in your car, whatever you're saying in your car, however you're acting in your car, your behavior, your attitude, your temper, your anger, your depression, they got it all. They got it all. They got it all. Nearly half of K 12 students monitored are being by the Knight Institute, NSO Group, 45 country deployment figure. The Knight Institute said all of our children, 50%, 60%, 70% now of our children are being chased around in the locker rooms where they dress, where they undress, and where they're supposed to be private. Folks, I don't have any solutions except to bring this information out and each one of us do what we can to educate people and enlighten people and inform people on how dangerous all of this is. I would say that we need to put our petty differences behind us. We need to stop quarreling and stop arguing over the most insignificant, silly stuff. And we need to try and push back as best we possibly can with the resources we have on this massive deep state power grip. They have got us in their grip, let me tell you. I hope you share this because it's important to get this word out, folks. It's very, very important. Please share. Much love. I'll talk to you tomorrow night. Kyler Davenport, the Lone Wolf. I'm out.